Hey everybody! 恭喜啊，恭喜，发大财！Happy CNY everybody, and welcome to the second episode of Property Insight Evening Talk Show. And of course, I'm your host here, Benny, and with me we have our resident host, Shawn. Shawn, say hi.
Hey guys!
And today we have our very special guest for this evening is none other than the property queen, Germaine Chow.
Hello. Junction Guli Guli.
Of course, Germaine Chow, everybody knows she's Germaine Chow. So of course, Shawn and I are the founders of the Quadrant, and Germaine is the founder of the Quadrant as well. And today we're going to talk a lot more about property. And in this episode, we're going to focus on a very interesting word and a concept called homevestor. 到底什么是 homevestor? We shall find out as we go along. Right? But before that, Germaine has started a new YouTube channel. Yes, Germaine?
Yes, that's right.
So I'd like to introduce a little bit about what you're going to talk about in this YouTube channel. What should people expect?
Yep. So I was like going through 2020 and thinking about the things that I've done right and how we started a cafe in such a crazy period of time and things like that. And I really realized that it's true growth, and I myself, it's really growing through and journeying through. So I've set up this YouTube channel to share about growth strategies and like what to do to implement those things. So yes, just tune into it, subscribe to it as well, and I will be sharing with you a lot of my personal life story as well. So,
yes, if you want to find out about how she made her first mark, her success, her struggle, how she overcome it, and more importantly, her secret productivity tools and tips, right? Please subscribe to Germaine Chow. Obviously, just go to YouTube, type Germaine Chow to subscribe there, right? And today we are here for a very special topic called the homevestor. So basically, let me just give a little bit of explanation about homevestor. Then I'll get Shawn to talk about it. I'm going to get Germaine to talk about it a little bit deeper based on our understanding in the property industry for the last 3 years, right? So in short, we classify this new category called homevestor, which it happened to be in the middle of this 2-tier. So many of us look at the whole market, right, as like, oh, are you a homeowner or are you an investor, right? So this is the general saying that people do talk about, oh, you're a homeowner, you're an investor, right? But as we build business for the last 3 years in the property landscape, we realize that, hey, you know what? Many people do buy their home in the right way and do make a lot of gains as well, yes? So we classify them as a homevestor. So first of all, who are homeowners? In case I'm blocking, who are homeowners, right? Basically, homeowners are people in the two extreme category, right? It's either they buy their home at the cheapest possible cost,
And it's depreciating.
it's depreciating. Nothing wrong. It's the lowest cost of living, right? And they see it not as an investment tool, as a thing, or
very luxurious,
very rich, and then
don't care lah,
care
basically.
nothing about, you mean you need to buy a property to make money, man, not for stay, man? You know, there's definitely those group of people out there. So we call them homeowners. So of course, if you're a homeowner, you're going to buy a home that is affordable, low cost of living, or you just buy something that you like, nothing to see, bye-bye, see you next episode, like nothing about it, right? So that's homeowner, right? You buy something like you love, I think that's awesome. Then we have investor. Investor like Shawn and Germaine when they started, like what, three years ago? There was pure investor journey, right?
Oh,
so I briefly explain a bit what is that pure investor journey, like what do you do and what do you seek?
Yep. So basically, it's all about optimization. So we don't really care too much about even interior. When we bought our first home, literally, right? We like literally just went as extreme as spending as little as possible on renovation.
12,000.
Yeah, it's like 12,000 renovation, just bare minimum, so that we are here to just optimize the profit.
Yeah.
So of course, typically as an investor, our end objective is to rent out the home, and of course by renting out a home, then generates that income. So investor, as I mentioned, it's all about even going all the way to the extent of just buying, even let's say in residential context, buying one under each name, renting it out, spending the bare minimum to optimize the profit, and then of course just even consider renting a place to stay. So that is optimization to pretty extreme.
Yep.
And of course, as an investor as well, not only putting aside a residential, of course we still can talk about overseas property. You can talk about industrial, commercial property, buying shop houses, etc. But that is, I would say that it goes to extent where we are really expected to rent out the place.
Yeah.
Yes. So Germaine, how's the journey like as a investor? Because you started really young, really early, and of course wearing an investor hair. How is it like for you?
I think like it was very scary, honestly, because we have not much background in property investing, and it's really optimizing every single investment. And I remember, do you remember, Shawn, when we were buying our industrial property, it looked very ugly. And like we were just like, okay, buy it. And there's even one property till today I haven't seen yet. Yeah, that Shawn bought that I haven't even seen it yet, but it's been rented out since all the way lah. So yeah, I guess that is like having an investor
mindset.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, like,
never even seen it, guys.
seriously, like just like my unit, and many people have known as well. I haven't even stepped in it, right?
I know.
Which is very different from buying a home, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
Or maybe if I
nobody
were
look
to
at
add
floor
one
plan.
sentence to fully describe it, is pretty much having very little emotion
Mm.
onto that particular purchase. And I would say that if you can actually achieve that, then you definitely have become the investor category.
Yeah.
Even in a homestay, like if you can
Yeah.
disregard
Yes.
everything, but alright, that's
Yes.
pretty badass. But I don't think that's a way to live a life.
Yeah,
right? I mean,
I think
like, come on, like you can make money, but you want to live happily as well.
yeah,
right?
yeah. You want to be able to enjoy that standard of living as well. I think why we invest is so that we can enjoy life lah. How many of you guys agree, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
And if you're watching this live, drop us a comment. Say hi, Germaine. Hi, Shawn. Hi, Benny. To know that we're not just speaking to a random camera and nobody's
Hello,
watching it. Okay,
guys.
guys. So I know I can see some of you are live right now. So please say hi. You know, good to see you guys this evening as well. Welcome and stay tuned. Right? Today we're going to talk about Homevestor once again, right? So once again, what is Homevestor in short, right? Really wearing a home perspective of homestaying, right? And one thing that you need to be, say, lack of a better word, profitable over time, growth over time, multiplying your asset, seeing it as an asset and not depreciating over time. I think that's a Homevestor. And then on the second part of Homevestor, right? So this is part one. So part one Homevestor is you buying a property that perhaps you're staying in, so you do have constraints. Say, maybe you used to grow up in the East.
Yep.
So you want to buy something in the East that makes money, right? I mean, you cannot be like, oh, West is doing better. Jump up, change your whole life, like just move to West, right? I don't think most people will do that. So that's Homevestor. Second part, Homevestor, right? So why do we call it the Homevestor economy? Is because if you look at the whole Singapore landscape, right? Most people who buy a property, right, are actually doing it for a own stay, right? Think about it, right? So they stay there, they use it, and rarely they buy a home to rent out. This is not proven by anecdotal, this is by data as well, right? So team, where is the data from? Really? Data.government, right? You can check it out, do your own research, right? But in short, we went out to really dive deep in and realize that, you know, and also in the whole market, right, 20%-ish is owned by private properties, right? So we have like 80% are all government property, most of which are 80% is 77% out of 80% are all own stay.
Yeah, man.
This is that crazy of an economy, right? And then we make some hypothetical projection because we couldn't get the data for foreigners who are buying for stay or for rent. It's pretty hard to get this data. We've been doing for 2 weeks. If you have some source, let us know, help us out a little bit, right? But we just based on the projection, right? We were just looking at this as a projection, right? Saying that even if 100% are buying to stay, we have like 6% more adding to category. You know, like we have 50%, we have like 3% more adding to category, or if not, 0 are buying for stay, right? But let me just give you a short summary of everything. If you can see in the chart right here, right? If 100% of Singaporeans, foreigners are buying for homes for their own stay, right? Then 90% of the market, is really buying for own stay. And if none of the foreigner is staying, that means they're buying just for investment, which is not possible. But just use the most extreme case, it is still 83% of houses that people buy and stay. So in this perspective, we cannot simply use PSF to look at the market. Because when I buy a home, and many of our friends who buy a home, we don't really see PSF.
Yes,
We like a house,
it's not about the PSF. It's about the family. Is it near the school?
That plays a big part, right? Most Singaporeans will have no school place. So the Homevestor economy basically describe that we are in a landscape that most people are buying for homestay, and you cannot use traditional PSF, surrounding stuff, master plan, simply just as a plan. There's many things to consider. So Shawn, Germaine, dive deep in. What's your perspective on this? Especially y'all do your home purchase as you go along, right? Have you seen this happening in the market, and how do you analyze this?
So I have something to add. Oh my God, when you're saying this, right, I just can't help it. So when we were searching for our home, right, I always want to be an investor.
Mhm.
But then thankfully I became a homevestor. Okay. However, during the process of buying the property, right, I told Shawn, never mind lah, don't talk about profits or anything. It's about the house, it's a dream house. Please. That kind of thing, you know. And it's like, you know, I almost became just a homeowner.
Yeah.
Meaning to say, like, you know, I was willing to buy something that was so high priced, and because it was a dream home for my whole family, and because I'm getting my in-laws and our parents to stay with us. So it's like the dream come true, right? And to me, I think that was very emotional. So I think, like, you know, while we as investors always think we need to buy on quantum, on like the PSF,
Yeah.
it's really not about that. It's about how happy my family is. And sometimes you can't put money to measure that, in my opinion.
And the scariest thing, like what Germaine just shared, is that Germaine is a seasoned property
Yeah.
investor. But yet, right, in that home purchase, right, you still will consider many other factors as
Yeah.
well, right? I mean, this is just the nature of homestay.
Yeah, especially I'm a very emotional and dramatic person. Hello. So it's like, you know, it really was like, wow, Shawn had to remind me like, hey, we are investors. He told me like, you know, hey, I cannot buy this home. I can't live in it. Like, you know, I don't do what I preach. Like,
Yeah.
I cannot.
So Shawn just grabbed Germaine from a homeowner
Yeah.
to a homevestor.
Okay, all right.
That's why
all
sometimes
right.
sometimes being different is good. Yeah, we help each other out to become even better.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think this whole PSF actually really came in when it was like 15, 20 years ago.
Mhm.
When actually most condos or most private properties are actually built pretty much almost the same size. So it's like 1,005 PSF versus 1,005 PSF on a 1,005 square feet on a 1,005 square feet, right?
Yeah.
So it's on square feet, yeah.
Mm.
So because most are built at the same size,
Mm.
then of course the only variable that people can use to actually compare with actually is PSF.
Yep.
Mm.
But since then, you must understand that it have already evolved very dramatically from the past,
Yeah.
and where homes are getting smaller.
Yeah.
People are willing to sacrifice
Size.
size, yeah, for something that is more convenient, better facilities for a newer place. Don't want to care about maintenance. I mean, all these factors came to play, and therefore PSF just became a little bit more irrelevant. When times go by.
Think about it. If you go to Casuarina Road right now,
Mm.
you probably get a freehold landed at 2.9, 2.8.
Yeah.
2.8,
Yeah.
2.8,
But
Yeah.
few streets away, 10 minutes drive, you probably can buy a condo at like 2.5 million,
Yeah.
2.4 million, right?
That's
Yes.
crazy, right?
And to think of this, right? Let me tell you how scary it is. Like if you use a pure investor mindset and say, hey, it only makes sense to buy a land. But however, I have spoken to friends who say that they don't want to deal with rats.
Yeah.
Like, you know, they say, why
Yeah.
would I stay
Yeah.
something that's no
Yeah.
facility, right? Like,
Yeah.
So what if it's like making money? Like
Mm.
I'd rather say a condo where I feel good, there's like facility, my kids can send a swimming class
Yeah,
easier,
yeah,
it's just
yeah,
like
yeah,
stone
yeah.
throw and why not, right? So it's really interesting, right? So the whole idea of narrative of simply just saying, oh, it's about PSF, it's about like, oh, it's about like interest and all this stuff that balance it out, or like growth and all that. It plays a part, big part still, but we have to look at PSF in a very low perspective right now.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah. But to add on a little bit over there, right? Your friend so got tricked one to buying landed property.
Lie.
Cannot buy those that near food. Yes, definitely will have rodents, rats. Definitely
true,
for
oh.
sure. Yes.
Yeah, all these.
So
all
you
these
cannot
things
buy
come.
Oh no,
near the
I'm not gonna look at Casuarina
Yeah,
Road
the
anymore.
Casuarina
oh my God,
there
I
is
was
the-
aiming for that.
the full one, the full one, bro. The full one.
Oh
So
really? I didn't. Yeah.
yes. So you need to live like more
No,
inside.
more
The
in
enclave like that.
slightly
Yeah.
away from the food
Yeah.
Oh my
area.
God, that's
Yes,
a
that is a really huge thing.
ethical strong tip.
Yes.
Yeah, and by the way, you can actually build your gates such that it's super low to the floor and it's concrete walls. Then the rats cannot climb in. So there is a way lah.
There are ways to prevent lah. Yeah. But I mean, the condo lifestyle is sold to us since we were a kid. You know,
Yeah, I
like the
know,
5C, you know,
right?
like
Yeah,
cash car condo, you know, like country car. So it's sold since a kid, right? So
It is.
so like there's this illusion about, which is good, real illusion, like staying in condo is
Staying
facility,
condo equals
you
to
know, like,
making it.
Yeah, making
Yeah,
it, right?
correct. Yeah.
Interesting.
But I mean, it became a bit scary because now to the point where everyone just aiming for condo and they're not even considering on price at the moment now. So so they're willing to pay literally close to a landed pricing on a 99 years leasehold strata versus a freehold land that you just need to top up maybe like 10% extra.
Yeah.
To actually own a land of the same size. It's just That's quite crazy.
Technically not even 10,
Yeah.
7.5.
Because you
Yeah,
take
just
loan.
2.5.
Yeah,
it's
that's
just
right.
2.5
Yeah,
more,
that's right.
Yeah.
You take loan, your down payment extra is only a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this is what we are talking about here. So it's a homevestor economy, right? So in a nutshell, like what we have just described, you cannot simply just say, oh, PSF, master plan. Yeah, master plan plays a big part.
Very
Don't get me wrong,
important.
right? But you really have to understand psychology. So the two things that we want to talk about right now, it's called quantum. So it's affordability. Yeah.
Yep.
So if affordability means it's about TDSR as well. It's about your
Yeah.
loan amount, right? So and your medium income, like how many people can pay. I think that is big. And with affordability, right, it comes about quantum price. What do I mean? So like what Shawn mentioned earlier, you can really see someone buying a smaller house, but at the more prime area, because they can afford the price tag, but they forget that they are paying more for PSF. And this is happening throughout Singapore as well, right?
Yeah.
So Shawn, do you have any experience on this perspective?
Definitely, I think it's very clear just by looking at the recent sales or the new launches, especially
man.
for the one bidder. Yeah, so
wiped out.
everyone is paying like now close to 2,000 PSF for most one bidder today. Yeah, so because of size and location and the limited stock as well.
Scariest thing is
Yeah.
considered acceptable.
Yeah, but it's
Yeah.
considered cheap
I
in
cannot
a
accept
context. Yeah, it's considered cheap to most investors because remember, guys, in terms of the price tag, that is still the lowest quantum
Yeah.
across all condo, right? So I mean, it became to the point where it's a little bit distorted already when it comes to the whole price PSF. So if I would do a ranking system, I will put more priority and more points to quantum over PSF as of today.
Yes.
So you there, but guys, hear it is that when people buy a property, let's just look at 80% of the market, right? Buying a property. We don't, I mean, ask your parent what is the PSF. They go, huh?
Yeah. No one knows.
Nobody understands
Yeah,
the
it's
price
big,
per
yeah.
square feet. Right?
Yeah.
They know how big is their house, like 112 square meter.
No.
I mean,
They were
people
like,
know the size.
roughly. Yeah.
But to think about like, oh, what PSF I bought, how much
Yeah.
I'm selling,
Yeah.
right? It's not a conversation, which means it's not just a knowledge gap. It is a culture in terms of purchase. Like it literally affect purchase. Because when we look at affordability, the classic question will be, can we afford to buy a 1 million house? This is what people ask, right?
Yeah.
Or do I have the cash after CPF?
Loan.
Yeah, do I have the loan? People talk like this. You don't see people talking about like price per square feet lah, or is it 1,000, 8,000, which means as an investor, this is a huge opportunity lah. Of course, with this, you see the recent price gap where people just keep squeezing for next most affordable product, right? Which leave a huge gap in the market. So dropping some hints over here, Germaine. If you look at the residential market, right, where do you think are gaps that people should look at for condo? Like like 3-bedder, 2-bedder, 1-bedder? Like how does it go in the market right now?
For me, I personally think that there is a huge gap in terms of the 1-bedroom resales, and because like the bigger ones, like what Shawn actually mentioned before, the bigger ones, the price, let's say like just now in the example, the quantum is like 2.8 million for a 3-bedroom or 3-bedroom. Then why not
4-bedder,
or 4-bedder? Why not you top up a little bit to go for a landed property?
Yeah.
However, the 1-bedroom resale property, actually the difference in a resale property, probably let's say it can range between 600,000 to 800,000 versus a new launch 1-bedroom is like 1 million or 1.1 million.
Yeah.
So it's only a matter of time. Either the new launch one comes down,
or
the resale one goes up.
Or the new launch just stagnate lah.
Exactly.
Just stays, because homestay money can don't say stay,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
it just stays, right?
Correct.
And I think about how hot property investment has been ever since Quadrant intercepted this market, right? like it become like mainstream, right? Like people like, hey, can I buy multiple property?
Yeah.
But so the fact is that when people start to put on these questions, the first thing is affordability, ma.
Yes.
Okay, cool. Decoupling, cool, right?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm young. Maybe I should start buying before I get married, right?
Yeah.
So what can I afford? 600K, 700K.
Actually,
right?
you're just bullseye, because just this afternoon, my sister-in-law came to our cafe, and then they were like saying, "Hey, we also want to do investments, eh?"
Yeah.
Then I say, "Okay lah, what is your budget, right? Like, how much loan you can take and things like that." And then we were like talking about the lowest quantum product,
Yeah.
which is a 1-bedroom.
Not even
Bam.
looking at PSF.
And then so I told them, say, hey, resale is 600 plus K. Okay, new launch is 1 million around there.
800 plus.
Yeah, 800 plus, sometimes dependent, right? Like it's only a matter of time. That is the sweet spot. So there is like resale.
Yes.
And the first thing they talk about is, how much cash we have to put in.
Yep,
You know what I mean? Like
it's
you
a
see, it's just
affordability
bullseye.
language, right?
That's right. Yeah.
So you see like Like there are even institute calling themselves like some PSF expert, but to be honest, how can you be expert on something that is not even relevant?
it's not relevant.
Exactly.
That's pretty funny.
It is relevant in an investment space, but
Like-
not
like-
in
like
Singapore
like
market.
Manchester,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
London, like
Yeah.
even Malaysia,
Yeah.
KL, because KL city centers are majority by investor, right?
Yeah.
Investor money, right? So that brings about the new wave of theories and research and methodology about Homevestor economy, which we'll be really highlighting in the next few years to come. Shed light to people about how should they actually approach this cultural phenomenon in Singapore, which is very well managed by the government, I would say. I mean, we want our kids to be able to afford property when they actually grow up as well. So kudos, please maintain this and don't be a Hong Kong bubble and then like nobody can afford any more property anymore. I mean, yes, we know what we are doing, but it's not cool to see a next generation of people who cannot afford property go on the street to protest and then like, why is my life so sad, right? So I don't think that's a good thing for Singapore anyways, right? So once again, in short, there is a Homevestor approach, right? People look at affordability. I think with this, right, do stay tuned with us, for our education segment. If you are not part of the Quadrant community, right, do sign up for one of our session, right, where Shawn will be going deep insight to talk about property data, and how should you buy and sell, right? Which is coming up next week, if I'm not wrong, and many more to come. Sign on the link.
Tuesday.
And if you are one of our graduates, right, hello, please come back for recourse. Very important. Please get yourself educated again. Okay, as a market.
Wait, I heard Shawn is sharing our portfolio, is it?
Monday, is it right?
No,
Monday, share a bit here
I
and there,
mean on Tuesday, you'll be sharing a bit about our
Yeah,
portfolio, what we do
I'll
and everything.
I'll show a few exact moves
Goodness
that we did.
gracious! He didn't ask me for this anyway. Like he totally didn't tell me. I found out while reading the website.
I think practitioner teaching is very live on the market.
It's very important.
And we still want to remain the integrity of practitioner teaching. So I think
and recency as well.
Oh,
Recency.
I mean, it's very easy to say, oh, I used to buy property, I flipped my OTP last time, way back. Not even our era, people talk about this. But kudos to you, but it's not practical now. It's like it's not even possible. So what's the point of teaching? Right? I used to buy hotel with no money. Kudos to you, but it's like, I don't know,
like it's not possible for everybody to do that.
I mean, you get it, right? Like, we're
Yeah.
not Rothschild era anyway.
Yeah.
So
And our recent data, I mean, not just data, even moves, is as recent as 9 days ago. So we just bought a new property, which I'll be revealing a little bit during the session, the free session itself. So you know what I buy and why I buy it. Do tune in.
and Shawn, today we just finished one completion of one of our units.
Oh, yeah.
So that's like recent lah, right? Today only.
So
we
recent.
just completed one of our units.
Exciting times. I think in a dynamic market, we need to have a dynamic solution. 3 years ago, we spotted industrial. Went well, still doing well now. I think we spot new segments every time we have a more maturity in our research team. So kudos to the research team as well. We'll be sharing a lot more in one of our education segment. With that being said, education. This year we also launched our yearly event, Invest My, right? Which we want to launch this whole new thing. Yay! So on this note, right, there's the online summit. We invite some of the most biggest players in the market down to speak about stocks, crypto, property in Singapore, Malaysia, UK, Australia, New Zealand, US, and everything, right? So it's a mega event, and we want to do this because rather than doing those like mass guru event and all, we want to create a one of a kind practitioner event. Everybody they see here are all practitioner.
All investors.
All investors, we check with them, and all of them are in the market sharing the market know-how. So give you some perspective will be, if you don't know Ryan Serhan, he is the top most followed influencer in terms of agent influencer in the world. He moved more than $1 billion properties in the world market, right? In US predominantly, right? And more importantly, he's an expert in New York and some of the states as well. And he'll be sharing about what happened in a post-COVID environment and what happened during, actually, in fact, and also what happened to the interest rate and what happened to some of the crazy property movement. I'm talking about how certain property, right, it's actually half price of its pre-COVID price right now, which is damn crazy. It's happening in US. And of course, rather than inviting, going deep into UK to talk about just UK market, because everybody know we're deep in UK, we especially invite someone who does management
Yeah.
Yes.
on the ground to really speak about what happens to the rental market right now, this moment, right? To give a market update on it. Of course, we have new market that we're opening on, like Australia, New Zealand, because too many people ask us about Australia, New Zealand, us until we have to do. No choice. And our old-time friend, Faizu, coming back here as well, to
Woohoo.
speak about Malaysia and how during this COVID here, rescue more than 1,000 people, creating
Wow.
new jobs and also new property portfolio, making most people into a 2-digit portfolio owner, which is damn crazy in Malaysia as well. Definitely good for those who are PR in Singapore. And of course, in stocks, we have my dear friend, our dear friend, Chicken Genius Ken Tang, right? The most prolific gentleman who talks about Bitcoin right now and
who have made
Tesla.
many millionaires or
Yeah.
at least 6-digit heirs.
Yeah.
You get me, right?
60
Many.
years. Many,
Yeah.
right? Share his perspective. And then we invite someone else who has totally different perspective, which is on the safer end, which is a budget babe.
Yeah.
Talk about portfolio planning, talk about portfolio planning. And lastly, we have Chris who talk about crypto. Everybody wants to talk about crypto, wants to understand, to not anyhow buy, hear from someone who really profit from the last wave, not even this wave.
Yeah.
He survived through the previous dip and he's been in the scene for long enough to really give you example, not just someone who make some money in the last few months and they say, hey, I'm deep in the crypto thing. So Chris is my long-term friend as well. So guys, so please register, go to invest. My.sg. If you're new to Quadrant, it's a big event to attend. And with that, right, we are going to go into our special first segment of the evening. It is called That Friend Advice. That friend advice. So what is this that friend advice, right? Basically, in short, it's just, you always say, they say, he say, she say, I always have this kind of advice. My friend tell me, and all this stuff, right? So we want to review all this that friend advice, right? To see how accurate are they. And these are the common spoken kind of like advice given in the
Yeah.
market. Don't do this, do that, do this. Market will happen, crash.
Okay.
Let's just see some of them. Today we're going to review, I think, 4. Adeline, am I right? We're going to review like 4 of them. Let's go. First one. I prefer to optimize my loan to keep more cash and CPF on hand to minimize cash flow risk. Rather than invest in other instruments, I contribute to my CPF, which I will never use for real estate as it will kept for rainy days. Shawn Germaine, let's go.
I don't know where to begin. Okay, I mean, if I were to comment on this, this belongs to what I call the extremity of safe, like safe until you cannot save, and I mean, in this sense, okay, let's put it in this way. If you put in the CPF, basically he's capping his gains at 2.5% per year.
Yeah.
Which is generally untouchable, basically unable to touch it, right? And you're unable to really enjoy until much later stage at 55 years old. That's number one. Which means that you think about it, actually, if you want to play safe, you can just put the same money into S&P 500 and you probably have just gotten a way better return and don't touch that as well. And do a consistent contribution. You probably will make way more. And that is, the difference is that it's liquidable as compared to CPF, which is non-liquidable. So you think about it in this perspective, putting it into even an index fund would have been better and safer as compared to CPF, as is something that you cannot use. The only thing that CPF, by putting into CPF, that protects him is from losing his home. So I'd rather he actually optimize his home to ensure that he's able to manage the mortgage rather than having money stuck, unnecessary money stuck in the CPF, which is not liquidable. That means he will not even be able to benefit or extract cash out when things get tough. Yeah. So that's the little bit more technical analysis on this.
Exactly. So let's use the word safe
Yes.
as a guideline. Safe. So
What is safe?
What is
what's
safe?
safe?
What is
Yeah.
safe?
What is
Seriously.
safe? I mean,
2.5% safe. I ask you a question. Like Singapore, like what do you think is like the, I don't know, inflation?
yeah, it's like 2%, 2.5.
Yeah.
Sometimes reported is
Yes.
2%. But like what you say is 100% true, Germaine. Like, what is safe, right? You get one point? Like, is keeping money in your bank safe?
Absolutely not.
Depreciation of money safe? I mean, you get my point, right? So if your money gets smaller every year, are you on a safe trajectory? I think what people need to understand is that your money is not going to be like worth the same amount, right, as you go along as well. So actually, what is safe? You get my point here, right? And if you don't invest, is it safe? That's my next question, right? And also, if you look at the title of this article, if you really stay at this article, he uses bank loan instead of CPF. Isn't that more dangerous? If you have to take out a bigger loan and don't use CPF, how is that safe? I mean, I don't know what method he's using, right? But this is something to really reconsider as well. I would say it's very subjective. And you look at this house, it's obviously not the smallest of all house. And of course, on financial prudency's sake, he might have a lot more cash so that he won't be using CPF. It's fine. But for regular folks, you know, like you really don't want to squeeze yourself on a cash issue, right? Just to save money on CPF.
Yeah. So this is, I would say that it's a very clear example of looking at debt as a whole number rather than looking at debt on a how much are you going to service per month basis. Because if he really wanted to be safe, he could have just set aside 2 years, 3 years worth of mortgage, even worth of mortgage into somewhere which is liquidable. Even okay, I'm not saying the best, but even putting like fixed D, don't touch it, that's fine. But I'm not saying please don't do that. That's not really the worst. But if you've a little bit more knowledge, even putting in buying stocks like even OCBC bank stock, something like that, right? And that still generates him a return of about 4% per
Dividends,
year. Which really outbeats CPF. And that would in this sense, so-called is safe in the sense that if anything goes wrong, he still have a good 3 years of protection. When it comes to his home ownership.
Well, what is truly safe is don't buy something that you cannot chew. I mean, like if you buy a house that you know that your combined CPF with you and your spouse barely touches the full sum of your CPF contribution, means you are always having surplus every month. How is that not safe? I mean, think about it. If you are making more than 6,000 a month and both of you have a 4.4K in the CPF, got 2.2 each, right? Just make sure you don't buy a property that have a servicing of more than 4K, which is quite hard to hit 4K. It's a pretty big house, right? Then you are actually having surplus every month. How is that not safe? Every 3 months, buy you 1 more month. Every year, buy you like 3 more months. How is that not safe, right? So I think it's a very subjective statement. And I don't think it's a bad strategy. It's one strategy.
It's very safe. It's leaning towards too safe. But of course, that being said, if everything goes right, obviously CPF is going to probably hit at this rate, looking at it, it's probably going to hit at least 500,000. Which is fine. I mean, he pretty much secured down his retirement.
But you can only use it when you're 55.
But he could have done way better, I would say.
You can only
in the current climate
enjoy it. And in my personal opinion, I don't even know whether I'll live to 55 lah. So I mean, things happen lah. So you know, I mean, like it's
So guys, if you guys agree with what we say, and we say that you should use CPF when it comes to buying property, right? Do give us a like and a heart shape so we know that you guys are with us, right? If not, drop in a comment and share with us your counter view. Why not? Next. Aspect left so who will rent? Buy house in Singapore.
I read this comment. I read this comment.
Like, comment, guys.
Okay. So you know, Shawn and I rented a place to stay because we're currently moving house. So we have rented, right? Before shifting out of our house, okay, and our rental is like 3,001. Before shifting out, right, without viewing our house, and there's like 2 more months left till we shift out, it's already rented out at 3,003. The person never even view. Like, who will rent? People because like there are people that buy new launches, need to probably rent in a place, stay at a place. And if you know how to buy the right properties, probably buy near good school and all that, people also rent for the school. How many of you kiasu parents are like me?
And I think let's go in a little bit even deeper, guys. I think with every crisis comes an opportunity, right? I mean, this is a very nice saying. So if you think about it, I mean, if this is the real case, wouldn't that also mean that you as an investor will be able to get a better deal out there? Because why? If this really happens, which means that the current seller would have been left with a vacant unit, which means that they will then be more likely to sell you at a better price point. If you think about it in this context, even you getting it at 40,000 cheaper, 40,000 cheaper, it's going to be way more benefit to you as an investor as compared to a 1 year worth of rent.
Mm.
So you buying, I repeat
True.
this, if you buying at 30, 40, 50,000 under value, yeah, due to the desperation of the seller, you're going to make way more as compared to if you to buy at market value and renting it for 1 year.
Yep.
Yeah, because one is straight up in your pocket as an asset. So with, as I said, I mean, even if this crisis happen, right, then it just comes an opportunity. So it depends on which side of the coin you want to look at.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think the baseline of Singapore property is what, 94% occupancy rate?
Yes.
Yeah, and throughout the pandemic, it probably dropped to like 92, 93, some area at 91, some at like 94, still 95. And
Yeah. The exact data is around like the core city region is around 10% vacant.
Yep.
The RCR is around like 7
Mhm.
7-ish, and then the OCR is doing very well. It's about 4 to 5%
Yeah.
vacant. Average out, yeah, I guess about
Yeah, so
93.
I think it's very easy to hear anecdotal comments like,
Yeah.
you know, like, oh, crisis, what happened and all that, right? I mean, think about it, right? Like when the stock market is all-time high, people say, oh, it'll crash. And then when the stock market crash, oh, you'll go lower. Like, I mean, there will always be people who are on the side making comments. And my prediction is this person is obviously not a property investor,
Yes.
because it's just not a property investor perspective and experience to say, expert left, so who will rent? I mean, like, it's just,
not
it's
only
just quite ridiculous.
not only expats rent, what there are other types of
Me.
tenant profile.
Me.
Exactly.
Me, I rent. I buy where I rent out. I stay where I rent.
We rented, like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like,
So,
there are lots of people that
many
do that.
people who rent. Yeah,
And buying a property, you never want to look at just one kind of tenant profile as well. Not just expats. You rent to families or you rent to couples, singles, whichever. Like, you know,
the funny thing that people don't understand is that actually there are a lot of foreign workers in Singapore still. Yeah, because not only like the high end expat, right? There's many people who are doing room rentals. In fact, most residential private homes who are people buying for investment,
Yes.
they are room rented out for foreign workers because like $800 a room, 1,000, right?
Yeah.
You'll be staying. Yeah.
Yes. And not to mention, you see, I heavily believe in this thing saying in the sense that there's no such thing as no rent. There's literally no such thing. There is such thing as
100%.
lower rent.
Yep.
100%.
Not no rent, yeah?
Give Shawn a round of applause.
Yeah.
Come on.
And not to mention, you must think about it also in this sense. At crisis mode, in the sense, of course, interest rate has dropped dramatically, which also means that your break-even point is also way lower now. So you can actually afford to even half your rent and probably still be profitable.
Yeah. I mean, in that dramatic case, I would say in most cases, if a reduction of 20% in rent is good enough.
Yes.
Yeah, because it's drastic enough. People are like, huh?
Yeah.
Sure. I don't mind paying for like a little bit more for the better unit, you know what I'm saying? Since it's so
Correct.
close to the smaller unit, right? And the truth is this, is that the small unit don't even drop in rent. The small unit go, nah, I'm the cheapest, I won't drop, right? So which means the bigger ones, if they drop a bit, the price gap is small. People say, hey, you know what, I don't mind having another bedroom. I don't mind staying in a better condo, right? And they just jump. So I think this is not just, guys, this is not just anecdotal once again, right? It's by data. And more importantly, I shift my home during the pandemic and I couldn't find a lot of homes available.
Yeah, man. Yeah,
I was struggling to find like you need to stay. Like things are really moving at a speed, right, in Singapore as well.
You were super panicking, like, you cannot find good home, cannot find home, cannot find home. No, this one pandemic cannot find home. I have to pay so much.
It's quite crazy.
It's quite crazy.
Things are actually moving, right? So on that note, next point. I don't plan to pay my debt. In fact, I am trying to increase my debt. Interesting. Wow. My debt income, so that's interesting. Someone say, actually, you know what, I don't plan to even pay in full. I don't complete. In fact, I plan to increase. So what is increase? Let me give some context. Could it be refinancing? Right, refinancing, repricing it, right? Refinancing, gearing up, right? It could be many things, right? So what do you think about this friend comment?
So this is one. Actually, this comment is quite deep. There's a lot of deeper meaning in this. So I would classify this as actually a very good comment. And from this, I already know that this guy knows what he's talking about. I'll give you an example. By just him using debt to income ratio, I know that the debt that he's talking about is not bad debt. That means it's not credit card debt, because in that perspective, hard to go to 62% debt income ratio, which means that most likely he's using it for property. In this scenario. So why he say that he don't intend to pay off his debt, because he understands that by having debt, he's actually making more money and see here these centers over here, is that it's literally free money.
Free money?
Free money. Yeah.
What do you mean free money?
Literally free money. Guys, now interest rate is like what? 1%?
Yeah.
What's the average inflation rate in Singapore?
2.
2.
Yeah, 2. Exact is 1.72. Yeah, I went to calculate it.
Nice.
So you think about it, for every dollar that he take today, he's actually growing it at a 0.7. They're actually growing at a
0.7 minus
0.7, yeah.
the 1% interest rate.
Yeah, he's growing at a 0.7. So 1.7 inflation rate minus debt, 1%.
Yeah.
Actually growing your money indirectly, because the debt you take today will not increase over time. Right? It doesn't increase over time. So you're actually getting a debt today. So if you get a fixed rate of, let's say, 1.2, it's already on a positive, or let's say for the next 4 or 5 years, right? It's really on positive on a 0.5, yeah.
Yeah, it's actually property market in Singapore grow at a low average of 2.4% a year.
Yes.
And you are borrowing money at 1.1%,
Yeah.
which means your interest is smaller than the capital appreciation.
Yes.
So you're staying for
Free.
It's free.
Wow.
Yes, free money. It's literally free money.
So why not? Why not take the money to do some smarter investment?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. On the other spectrum, like just don't over leverage lah. Of course, like go into assets like what Shawn actually mentioned. And over here, his debt to income ratio is really
so it's quite cute.
Yeah.
Basically, if you
Yeah.
see this comment, right? I mean, there's a few funny points over here.
Yeah.
So like, let me share you what's the funny point over here. It's that he purposely put 62%. If you do not know, the TDSR ratio in Singapore is 60%. So what he's trying to say is that he's above the recommended TDSR ratio, and he's proud of it, and he's not planning to pay it off. Yeah. So actually, this comment is very deep.
Yeah, and of course, there's a very interesting saying that I don't agree lah. We can discuss about this. Of course, one of our friends said that he want to die with massive debt.
Oh, our good friend.
So the notion behind dying with massive debt is that, to be honest, like if you're always on growing, your property's growing, you're always cashing out based on positive cash flow and whatnot, right? And refinancing, cashing out your cash, do other form of investment or spending or whatnot. Technically, you kind of don't have to pay for your loan, right? And in some point when you die, kind of can use your insurance to just pay off everything, right? So on your perspective, what do you think about that?
Yeah, actually, this whole die in massive debt became really popular in Malaysia.
Yeah.
Because in Malaysia, if you don't know, for every single loan that you take, right, the bank will force to take an insurance policy from the bank itself. So they also earn from the insurance, yeah. So which means that the more you manage to acquire in terms of debt, the moment you die, right, your properties will be fully paid, no matter what.
Yep.
Because of the design of the whole economy on having insurance on a per debt basis. So it became a bit popular. Actually, the more debt you acquire in Malaysia, the richer your basically your whole family will become.
Your next gen.
Yeah, your next gen will become.
It's the best insurance policy.
Yeah, it's the best. It's insane, right? So that get popularized in Malaysia. Of course, then now it's spread out, of course, to our dear neighboring country, which is Singapore. So there's this whole concept over here. Dying in massive debt basically means that the moment you die, if you buy insurance on term insurance on the property, it's going to be fully paid.
Which is interesting lah. Something to think about, not recommended. Something to think about, right? Of course, Baxter, one of our community member. Hi Baxter. Saying that more Malaysian that stays in JB working in Singapore, rented in Singapore, right? Of course, you cannot travel to and fro, right? So you have to choose between making money or not making money. You rather make money in Singapore and rent somewhere, right? I actually, and then he says that pricing of rent is higher, right? I mean, in the OCR. HDB, because it's the lowest category will always grow. Very interesting. Is it HDB, right?
Always,
Outside
usually.
region.
It's just like what happened in our industrial property.
Yeah.
Because it was the lowest, right? Then when COVID happened, there will be many people who want to go for the most affordable rent.
Yes.
Suddenly it pushed the affordable
I
rent
had a
out.
spike of people asking, hey, is there rental? Is there rental? And it's fully rented out, you know what I mean? Like it's really crazy during COVID period,
The
and
chicken rice product don't go wrong, right?
yeah,
Cheapest in the market.
Cheapest it's cheaper lah. So those people that are actually renting in CBD area actually would leave the CBD area and go and rent in industrial space.
Next up, lastly, take lesser loan is better. Pay up earlier. Put money in CPF investment for retirement lah. Best plan. Okay. Comment.
So I mean, every time I see this comment, it's just a very sad thing lah. I mean, this is just from a very lack of education. But But I mean, to speak up for these people,
Okay.
I also do not blame them, because the reality is this: we are never really taught to handle debt in our education system.
None of the module.
Yeah,
We don't have a
actually-
module called Ultimate Leverage
Yeah.
Multiplier Effect Strategy Module 101. Right? Then you primary school have to sit down 30-minute class school by teacher to learn how to use that.
Yes.
No, right?
And
Yeah.
nobody teaches about leverage, what is
Nobody.
growing our money, how to open a brokerage account. Like nobody teaches us all those things lah. So I guess like it's not really in everybody's reality boxes.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just said that the entire economy works on debt. Entire. I'm talking about entire. Businesses take debt, right? When government print money and pump it down, it's usually through bond and through loans and through banks and through debts. You get it, right? So the banks are just a massive debt company. The entire world uses debt to make money.
Yeah.
Even REITs company use debt to grow their
Yes.
portfolio, right? But then, right, the average consumer is taught to be debt free. Let me think about it. If the entire system leverage on debt, why would you want to be out of the system to not leverage it to grow wealth together as well? It's really strange. So my point here, like just like my fellow guests as well, is that debt is something that it's risky if you don't know what you're doing. Don't get into bad debts, but you have to master debt, punch debt fear in the face. You get it right, and really get it right, because this is smart if you don't know what you're doing. I mean, in the worst case scenario, just don't get into any debt lah. But are you going to retire very well doing so? I don't think so, right? Your wealth, your money is not properly utilized. So that's just my overall comment. I think secretly in many people's eyes, right? Like me as well when I was young, the goal is always to have enough money to pay for off all the debt and then be debt free,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's something that's so deeply to us. And the truth is this: is that in our quadrant, we believe that one day you should be debt free. But not today. On your retirement, you might want to be debt free. It's nothing wrong, right? I mean, who want to carry debt through retirement, right? But if you're on your fighting years, say anywhere below 50 years old, below 55 years old, why not have a debt? Why not leverage your money?
Actually, I'm super against that one lah, since young and everything. But I really think that actually it's okay to die of debt leh. Really. I think I changed my mind. Reason being, right? Like
with massive debt.
Like you're growing, what, right? And if it's good debt, then it's okay for your money to just keep working for you, and you don't have to service the loan. Your tenant pays the rental and things like that. Like okay, right? You know what I mean? While I enjoy retirement, not like I have to. I think you don't want to die with debt if you have to work hard and pay for it. I think no lah.
Positive cash flow lah. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like the truth is that if it's all negative, it's very scary. I mean, we have
Yes.
some comments coming from YouTube. Very interesting. We never know. Like we have YouTube friends who are joining us as well.
Hello.
That was how in the 70s educational system. Yes. Because you know why is it in the 70s education system? Because those who use debt are bloody rich. They don't want you to use debt. That's all, right? It's true, right? Back then, when you use debt, you're even richer than ever compared to now. Now it's nothing, man. Now it's so regulated.
Last
right?
time you can take debt like what
Infinite.
90%.
You just go infinite, right?
Yeah,
take
like
debt,
crazy
leverage.
100%.
Then your rental is so high, you positive
Yeah.
cash flow, you take $0 down. Like
Then
that.
you
It's
can
crazy.
flip. Today buy property, tomorrow can sell. Wow.
Yeah.
Those times.
Yeah. Okay, so in a very nutshell, let's end this very clearly. Is this:
Okay.
if you don't take debt, if your property grow by 10%,
Mm.
so 500,000 grow by 50,000 is 10%, yes?
Yeah.
But if you take that, say 90% as drama as that, right? Then you're only putting 50,000
Yeah.
to make 50,000.
Woohoo.
So the capital appreciation multiplier effect goes this way, right? Can you see that? Ring a bell, yeah, guys? So the capital appreciation multiplier effect goes this way, right? Because it's always about how much cash you need to make that amount as well, right? Because that is a very dramatic scenario that actually happened 3 years ago with us. A lot of people don't know, right? That's why when we say we make 24% year on year, 哪里可能? No way lah. Hello guys. Possible huh?
I think from this, right, like who is your friend very important.
Yeah lah,
that
yeah
friend
lah.
advice.
Yeah,
because
yeah.
my friend, right, start with I one my that friend. I don't know y'all know or not lah. Who? If y'all know, write inside the comments. Who is my I friend?
Eccentric millionaire.
Yeah. He shared with me about that and like, wow, open up my total reality about property investing.
Don't
and-
bluff lah. Capital appreciation only 3%. How to make 24%? Siao yo. Right? I mean, that's what people always say, right? But you don't understand property profits is in many tiers as well. If you're new to us, join us, right? In our one of our seminar. right? It's coming out probably inside webinar, where Shawn personally will run through his personal portfolio as well. And with that, that's the end of That Friend Advice. Yay!
Don't listen to that friend. Don't listen to that friend. Don't listen to that friend. Ask that friend.
Ask a friend.
How many properties
Do
did you
you
buy?
have?
If you never buy anything, of course no experience.
Bo bui, bo gong. Okay, let's go. So,
Wow, you damn bangs yeah today.
yes, let's go, man. Let's go ghetto today, man. Right. So, property market update for the last time since
Yeah.
we were live doing this, right? Is that property cooling measures,
Yes. Yeah.
Shawn?
So of course, latest update, there is no property cooling measure. Yeah. So what happened here is that this news came out. It indirectly actually increased the property price once again. Indirectly increased the property price, which is insane. But of course, the budget talk just came out, and there isn't any cooling measures inside. Although they mentioned that they will be monitoring the market.
AKA means will come up soon.
We don't know when.
Right.
This is very hard to really time when is the property measures coming in.
See, the problem is the speculation where it will come forces people to buy property very irrationally. And it becomes another selling point for many scrupulous agent. You know what I mean? To say, hey, it's gonna come, man, guys, you better buy, I think that's just not the right way to buy property. And I think that's just not fundamentally sound to buy property this way. So we have some comments on YouTube that says, what about 55 years old people, right? Yeah, you still can take debt in many other overseas countries, just not Singapore. It's just not friendly when it comes to age. There's many countries who don't consider age. And of course, we have our fourth guest of the day. Everybody say hi.
Hello.
To Mei Mei. Mei Mei, say hi. Yes. Just a random day, Mei Mei just walked past. But anyhow,
Yeah, pick her up.
she just got her new grooming. Let me
Oh,
smell.
she smells so good.
Oh, she smells good. Finally.
Mm.
Not like the owner. But anyway, let's go back to the conversation. I think the biggest news, right, that we want to talk about is property agent commission.
Wow, this is very exciting actually. Mei, excited? You excited?
So excited
You
that she had to
excited
jump
to
out here
pay
to share
lesser?
her opinion. So, Shawn,
Yes.
property agent commission in the news.
Yeah, I think let's start with what had happened last time first. Yeah, so when of course property agent commission came out and so forth, I think in the past 1 to 2% was considered high. In a sense. So developers are giving about 1 to 2%. Go to showroom is typically at 0.x%, right?
Yep.
I think that was the norm during even my mother-in-law time. Yeah. So most of the time you hear mom, right, and he says go showroom because she's an agent herself, right? Go to showroom and most of the commission is 0. something one.
Yeah.
Yeah, for walk-in. Yeah, that's the actual commission. Yeah. So that was the norm last time, right? So what happened here was that ever since cooling measure came in, I think and the biggest penalty on developers actually if they don't even sell finished. That means that let's say they have 300, let's say they have extremity, they have 1,000 units. If they never sell one unit, that means they sold 999 units and they're left with one unit that is not sold, they will be hit with ABSD. Not on the one unit, on the whole entire land price. Yeah. Of 30%. So you must understand the context here is that developers will obviously rather give a 10% commission than hit a 30% ABSD on the land price. So you think about it. So that is what happened over here. So ever since the whole cooling measures I think came in, we start seeing commissions at a 3%, 4% is normal. So 3 to 4% is a norm today.
Yep.
And even 5%
Recently,
for the bigger, like 4 bidders.
What's the biggest that we heard
so.
before?
The biggest I heard before is actually 8%.
What?
Yeah, that's crazy.
8%.
Let me tell you what's the problem with 8%. Let me tell you what's the problem. The problem with 8% is that it's so crazily high. And let me tell you that I need to defend all my agent friends out there. I'm going to defend, right? Because what happened when you have 8%? We all have 8%. Think about what people do. It's 8% comp. But what people do?
I mean, it's
Think about
common.
it.
I mean,
Probably
yeah.
ask for like, you earn so much.
Why not
The
pass
property
me
price so
some?
high. Give me back some money.
Yeah.
By the way, this is illegal.
It's illegal. It's illegal to do commission kickback, right? Because I mean, think about it. If you have an 8% commission kickback and you only need to put 5% cash, it technically is $0 down to buy a property.
Wow, yeah.
So obviously is just them by
Flawed.
design.
Flawed.
It forces agent to make bad choices.
Mm.
You know what's the worst thing? Right? The agents are all not defended because now they are being pushed to the market with such crazy, stupid commission, right? And if their friends and family would ask, the kickback all that, right? You know what happens when a kickback happens? not the agency fault. It's whose fault?
The sales agent
It's
fault.
the sales agent
Yeah,
fault.
yeah.
It's a sales agent. It's like everything will be pushed to the sales agent.
Yes.
And if the design is so bad that you make sales agent has such a tough time, right? But to play in such bad cowboy rules, then you are really creating an environment, right, that they have to do such stupid act, right? And if they don't get sales. And if they do, right, and something happened to them, sorry, we already told you it's illegal. So I think the whole industry is flawed.
Yes.
I think when I see this news, I'm damn excited because
Yes.
these regulate the market. I mean, 8%, how crazy can manipulation get with 8%? Like, what kind of like sales tactic people will use with 8%, right? It's crazy. Like, if you fail to price your property properly, drop the price. Don't do such unscrupulous 8%. You just price it too optimistically. Now you affect, right, agents' livelihood. You affect everybody as well. Yeah.
But I mean, the sad truth is this: is that I mean, if a developer were to reduce the price to, let's say, 5% cheaper, as compared to giving a 5% more commission to the sales agents, the reality is that giving 5% more commission to the sales agent would have a way higher chance for the developer to sell this particular unit as compared to dropping in price. Because at the end of the day, I mean, we are living in a world where it's a very sales centric.
We're not living in a world that's
yeah.
sales centric. We're living in an industry in
it's
Singapore
actually-
that's
yeah,
very
correct.
sales centric, right? Every property is good if the commission is high.
Yeah, exactly.
It's ridiculous. I mean, really, right?
And that's why you will hardly hear agents say that resale is good.
Yeah.
Right, I mean, that's
It's
rare.
a lot of work.
Yeah,
It's a lot of work.
it's rare.
It's a lot of work.
It's a lot of work
Yeah.
for a 1% commission.
Yeah, and people are squeezing.
Yeah.
No, see, they don't understand that co-broke, 2% co-broke 1,
Yeah.
right? And some homeowners say, you know what? I only want to give one. You're 0.5. But going to a showroom and buy a property is like just
4%,
turning and sign
yeah.
paper, right? So you must give the agent some slack. You know, Germaine has been helping out with many agents, speak to many agents before. There's real work. I mean,
Wow,
like,
it's a lot of work, man.
there's real work to be done and
I
going to
think
the ground. yeah.
nowadays, if you really want to be a successful agent, the standards are higher already. You can't be like the old ways whereby you just show the brochure or
Yeah.
like, nowadays don't even have brochure, especially if it's resale property. You need to do up the unit nicely. You need to be able to do portfolio. You need so many skill
The
sets.
negotiation.
Uh,
The
negotiation.
process.
Yeah, and also knowing how to style the place, how to pitch the place. Yeah, and marketing. Oh my goodness. Like, nowadays, I think like the benchmark for real estate associates is really, really high.
Yeah.
And I'm excited because then it only serves the entire industry
Actually-
even more.
Actually, I have a very radical comment, for government agency. If you're watching this video, to look at this as well.
Yeah.
Why not go back to fixed rate? Because then the opinion will be unbiased if it's fixed rate, right?
Yeah.
I mean, right?
Yeah.
And
So-
what will the agency that have a fixed rate comp for the agents? I
Yeah.
mean, like if an agency practices like lower comp or flat rate or paid salary, there are actually agencies out there that do that, right? That salary scheme, right? Because to them they make the same amount, right? They give
Yeah.
the most unbiased
And they
comment.
give the best advice
Yeah.
to the person. Yeah.
So basically, there's two school of thought. Yeah. So one is to give fixed rate, and that will level the playing field across, which means that there's no biasness. The other is actually on transparency. So if you go on the resale market, most of the time the commission is declared.
Yep.
How much
Yeah,
is
yeah,
declared,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
So that is where there's transparency, but there's actually no transparency in the developer's commission to agents. That's why
Mm.
buyers
I
do
didn't
not
know
know.
that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
not known.
Oh,
So
wow.
and also the agents will not go around announcing that they're going to earn 4% off this deal, right? So that is why generally I would say majority of the buyers will not know. Now with transparency, right? Actually, I'm not against developer paying the agent 4%. I'm against the fact that it's not transparent to the buyer. So if you think about it, I mean, it's okay if this person really add massive value for the buyer to want to use this
Agree.
agent and agent itself. And you must understand is that the buyer typically they are not having any loss. You understand, right?
Yeah,
Kickback is
yeah,
illegal
yeah.
anyway, right? So they're not having any loss over here. But the irritating thing is that now, because of this whole hidden and non-transparent commission structure, what happens here is that the buyers do not know what they're getting into. And with transparency, there is a much higher chance that now the agents need to prove their worth on why they're worth 4%.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Actually, that's a good one.
Yes.
And really, like recently, I met somebody and he was recommended this particular project. Wow, and it's quite ulu area. Then I was wondering, how come that agent keep on selling and selling and
It's a
selling
hot
it to
place.
him?
I know what you're talking about. Like up and
Yeah.
coming next 20 years.
It's actually because that project has the highest commission.
4.2.
Yeah. So it's like, I'm like, wow, but this is somebody's money. Somebody actually saved hard, worked hard for this amount. And if he were to, put it into something else,
Yep.
perhaps he can see a shorter time frame to take back his money and get back his returns. And there are better options out there. So I think this could be a good thing for people. And I feel that real estate agents need not fear this, especially if you are good, you add value.
Yeah.
I don't think that the government will
Yes.
say, hey, you know what, now all of you earn peanuts. I don't think that is the government's direction.
That's not their goal.
Yeah, the government's direction is to prevent rogue agents from probably giving kickback and all those things, and I think that that's better for the industry. It's not that they want to work you to death and things like that, because I've seen some comments that say, wow, we already earn very little already, still now we want to even lower our commission. I don't think it's that.
Actually, this is, I got to speak up over here, right? I think it's a very distorted view. I mean, hey, 4% on the one bidder is 1 million, that's 40 grand. Most three bidders are 1.6 to 1.8 million. So that is like 70 grand, which is most people's 1 year salary. so I mean, yeah, they're saying earning very little and here and there. So, but I mean, the reality is this: is that I think create policies that force the entire industry to improve. I think that's where we want to go. Yeah. So once that happened, then there is more massive value added back to society. And that's where
and honestly, the government flourishes, or our economy flourishes whenever the people flourish in terms of their employment. They earn more, they make more, they spend more. So that is the objective of our government, not to actually reduce our earnings.
And I rather that, and then so with that big transparency and add one more layer is to increase the what we call the penalty for kickbacks. Make it like instead of just fine or fine 5x, 7x, something like that. Make it
go jail.
Jail is tough, but increase the fine system so that it creates a very fair environment as well.
I see it very differently.
Okay.
I think it's a good point. For me, right, I think it should be fixed comp for all new launch. The playing field, 2%. Don't increase the price so that it's not affordable, and then increase the comp. Because who's the guy that pay for it? The buyer?
The buyer,
The idea is buyer.
Indirectly,
The buyer. I mean, if you drop the 2% comp, but you drop the project by 2%, then the buyer gain, right?
Hey, but we say so much. Why don't we ask the audience? What do you guys think?
Drop in the comments. Do you think that it should be a fixed rate comp? It should be a more transparent version. Which do you think it works as well? I believe that people are watching this video. We will spread more thoughts and more opinion as well.
And if we are very opinionated, maybe the government pick up from us. Right?
Which they do. Okay, anyways, so I think this is it, right? So I think this is the hottest topic for the month because it's very muted down. But I think this will forever change the industry because I think this is not referring to like commission that's all agent are overpaid. No, it's more of the new launch issue on question transparency, and coupled with new launch marketing strategy where people don't even get to see what they're buying. They see 3-4 units, right? So marketing is getting very scarcity. It's very scary right now, right? And I think it ought to be regulated in a way, right?
How can it be that you go down to the showroom, right? Then you only see 3 units, and then you and your friend cannot compare. And then you have 3 units, and you have to choose out of these 3 units, and that's it. Bye. I think that's. I mean, it's very smart marketing gameplay, but as being said by Shawn, I don't think it's transparent enough for the consumer. I don't think it has the best interest for the consumer as well.
So we see in the comments, right? Lala, lifelong learner. I mean, we have I don't want to pronounce Lee. I say Lee. Right, Lee over here. Most people say it's fixed rate and transparency. I agree 100%. Right, as long as a lower cost for buyer,
it will always be lower cost.
You have to be gonna be transferred back to the buyers. I think that's good. And then you know what the sad truth. You want to hear the silver lining that even this is not corrected. Let me tell you what's the silver lining. The silver lining is that most people will still be okay in the next 10-20 years because the market is just doing too well. So even though you got like you didn't buy the best price right now, in 10 years time property will still be on the uprising trend. It's just how Singapore
Yeah, I
market
mean,
is.
It is lah.
Singapore prices are seriously compressed. Yeah.
Yeah, so
Okay,
it's compressed.
and I really
Yeah.
know why. I think it's an Asian thing.
Yeah.
We love to hot asset. We love to hot our property.
and property. You
Yeah.
know, do you know REITs is a way stronger performing asset class, right? In Hong Kong and Singapore. And maybe in Malaysia. It's just an Asian thing. Oh,
We are
房子啊,
damn
buy
Asian,
house ah.
seriously. Yeah,
But
Yeah.
in
Yeah.
US, REITs is like
It's like
not
not
regard-
good, you know
yeah,
what I
yeah.
mean? Yeah.
And this is a result, guys. This is also a result of, I mean, Singapore not having any inheritance tax. Yeah. Yeah, because so it's a hoarder. It's a really a hoarder thing. So past generation, especially to buy freehold, they get passed over
Maybe
to
can
next generation. So and so
share,
forth.
Sean, like, you know, like for
Inheritance tax,
inheritance tax, because in certain countries like Japan and
Yeah.
also
I think
UK,
it's so not experienced in Singapore that people don't even understand.
what is
Right,
the
right, right.
inheritance
So-
tax. You're very cheap.
Yeah. So I
Yeah.
mean, if you go out of Singapore and you buy properties over there, it's a very common thing for the government to tax basically whatever you inherited from the previous generation.
Yeah.
Even as high as 50, 50%. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's common so that the economy continues to run. You think about it that context.
Like the rich don't get richer.
the
in a
rich
way
don't
lah.
get
They
richer. I
reset
mean,
lah.
yes, they still get richer, but they
Yeah,
get
yeah.
richer way slower.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, and the inheritance tax actually boosts the economy. Yeah, so that's
go back to taxpayer
go back to
money
taxpayer
and all, yeah,
everything. Yeah. So Singapore do not have this system in place. Of course, I don't really want that to implement.
So
It's
my
not
kids
a
don't
good
need to
thing.
pay.
I mean, I don't want it, but
Yeah.
if you think about it, that is where the hoarder environment comes in. Yeah, because imagine your past generation did so well in property, and they own this whole entire big sphere of land, which by the way is not uncommon. I realize that this is more common than I thought, because the landed property that I bought, right, is owned by the entire
The
estate
whole enclave.
is owned by one person, one
owner.
owner. And over the last 20 plus years, then he slowly sell
You know,
one
in
by
Hokkien,
one by
we
one.
call that what?
What?
Ho jia ho kun.
Yeah. That guy is so that person is so rich until don't even want to rent out the
never
landed.
rent out, you know.
Never rent out, just leave it
Yeah.
empty.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
And he's so
Why
clever.
are we not born like this?
No, and he's so clever, right? He actually control the pricing.
they control price.
Why
amount,
might
yes.
the estate so hard to get a good
Yeah.
deal, right? It's because he control. If he own like 5-6 of the landed properties there, right? Whatever price he put is the market price.
No, but I mean, I was having this conversation with my 6th Avenue uncle on
Okay,
this,
okay.
right? So, and then I was saying, actually, it's good for the existing buyer. Because if they slowly release,
Yeah.
the price will only keep going up. So the current buyer will be happy,
Yes.
rather than erratically release and then like
Yes.
price
Yeah.
fluctuate, right? Because if you can hold stocks, right, it's better for the earlier buyer, which means the next buyer will be predictable to know that it's better for their future as well. I think it's pretty smart, but I think there's just a lot of things to dig when it comes to property as well.
Yeah.
And lastly, there's no updates in the real estate industry in budget
None.
2021. I think there's too many news out there, so I think it's just flat over here. There's no need to be supported. I think the housing system is really strong, even though in pandemic most people are not like homeless in the street. Unfortunately, of course, there are some underprivileged people, but just say most Singaporeans are not like homeless on the street, so it's pretty much okay. But like I say again, I think one last point to bring out. Earlier we talked about like cooling measures, right? So one of the key cooling measures that me and Ivan actually proposed, one of our business partner proposed, which I think is something that we should talk about, right? Is lastly is that if they were to tax on individual purchase, splitting the buying, right? That's something they should consider. I mean, it's not good for me because I'm in the process of doing so, but I still think it's smart for government to regulate because people decouple and then they buy.
Yeah.
And actually, it's not that hard. So if they really want to slap a cooling measure, slap it on decoupling status, means married but buying individually, then at least you'll slow down the market on investor and don't affect just general people who just want to upgrade, just basic people who just want to do their own property game, right? Yeah. But it will affect.
Okay,
like
don't
me,
say already. Don't say already. Next.
Yeah. But I mean, you have to be very specific because you don't want to create rule that affect everybody.
Yes.
But let's not do it. It's going to affect me. But anyway,
Yeah,
the last segment for today is what we call the moral of the story. All right, welcome to the moral of the story. And in this segment, our guest for today is Germaine, and Germaine will share her story. Let's go.
Okay, so recently I am renovating my home, and it has been a very, very, very great and steep learning curve. So I actually engaged an interior designer based on a recommendation. And I really didn't want to manage the property. Like, I didn't want to be the project manager while I have a lot to deal with and things like that. So I decided to go with the interior designer. So what happened was the quote came back. So the quote was about 270,000. I know, right? So I see, this is me being a homeowner. Then my mom and I felt like, okay, it's a bit high lah, but I didn't want to be bogged down with the details. So I decided okay lah, just go ahead, right? But she decided to do something, which I really respect my mom a lot for doing this. She decided to actually just call a wet works person, so doing all the tiling and all that, just to check the quote. And the price difference, let's say the person quoted us like 40,000. The second opinion was 23,000.
Oh, that's a lot of difference.
Yeah, that is 17,000
Yeah.
for one phone call.
Yeah.
Then she said, hey, something is wrong lah. Let me maybe just check another one, which was painting. So the person quoted us 30,000. Then we found Nippon directly, 17,000.
What?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Both is like close to half.
So
exactly.
that's really 30 grand in savings, yeah?
Yeah, that's really 30,000. And we only checked 2 items
No way.
of the whole thing.
So it could be like 60% of the price?
Exactly. Like, it's super crazy. So as of course, when this kind of thing happened,
Yeah.
our paranoia level went up 3,000 lah. So I decided to start checking line by line.
Oh no.
Yeah. So in the end, I went ahead with them for only carpentry.
Because everything else was jacked up.
Everything else
Oh, no.
was jacked up crazy.
Okay, so what is the moral of the story?
So the moral of the story, right, is that just like in interior designing and things like that, just like in property investing, sometimes having that one phone call or have that comparison knowledge does help you. So for my mom's case, she went to call and compare, right? And if we had not compared, we wouldn't have the knowledge of what is market rate, correct? So same thing when we bring it back to property investing, right? Knowledge is extremely important.
Yep.
And sometimes when you don't have the perspective of that industry, you can't even know whether is it cheap, is it expensive, is it good, is it bad? Like there's no benchmark. And so moral of the story, I think that we need to go on data and not emotions.
Very good. Data over emotions, right?
Yeah.
And ultimately seek more data. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Like everybody in this game will give you their biased perspective why this is not overquote. I mean, it's just how people goes, right? I think it's very important for you to do your own due diligence, right?
Yeah.
In
And-
property
And
investment.
just that one phone call. Oh, by the way, in the end, I got the quote down to about 105K. But if I add in everything else, then I probably come up to 180. Yeah, which is like fantastic because I now have like way more things, but yet I don't have to pay that premium, and I think it's just so important lah. How many of you guys agree that sometimes you don't know what you don't know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
And actually, I mean, the second thing is that I really take this learning lesson as a very positive thing, because if we had not find out about that, I wouldn't have saved so much money,
Yeah.
and I wouldn't have learned so much in this industry. So now I can tell you, right, one cabinet, right, how much per feet? If it's like a totally covered up one, right, not much holes and all that. Okay, why? If you have open shelf, that means they need to paste laminate all over.
Yeah.
That kind, 480 per feet.
I guess that's the issue. Like you don't do home renovation like every month.
Yeah.
So the probability of you having zero context of expensive or cheap is very high. I mean, to make the wrong move is very high. It's one-off.
Yeah.
One-off.
And now I know already. Just cover one normal shelf.
It's like the wedding industry.
Yeah. It
People-
is lah.
Most people get married once. Most people,
Yeah.
and because of that, you don't know any price of anything. You will say yes to anything, right?
Yeah.
And usually that's it. And it happens more often than not in high ticket purchase like property investment.
Actually, I learned one more thing from this also.
Like,
Okay, the thing is really, especially when it's a friend recommendation, usually your gut go down, right? But actually, I think that you have to establish right from the start that, hey, it's about, delivery and what we'll be delivering. And if it don't match, right, we go with more data. We go with less emotions.
Yeah.
I think it's establishing that right at the
Yeah,
start as well,
yeah,
which
it
I
is,
think
it
is
is.
great lah.
Awesome. Right. Thank you, Germaine, so much for being the guest for episode 2 in our Property Insight Evening Talk Show. Once again, our resident guest over there, Shawn. Shawn, say hi.
Hi.
And say bye.
Bye.
And of course, there's me over here, Benny, one of the co-founder of Quadrant, the co-founders of Quadrant here. I want to thank you for staying tuned with us on this Friday evening, and do watch us on our next live really soon. If you enjoy this episode, subscribe if you're on YouTube, like if you're on Facebook. If you're not on either one, I also don't know how come you're watching this. Just like and subscribe
by the
everywhere.
way, right, I'm guest only. So like, if you want to see me appear more often, then you
Type
gotta like
Germaine.
really type my
If
name.
there is more than 10 Germaine, you will see Germaine again. And if you guys learn something today, even though it's just a casual, having fun
chit-chat
conversation,
session,
right?
yeah.
And if you guys want to watch more Property Insight show, as I'm going to invite more guests, more fun, right? Comment down in the comments, say what you guys want us to talk about, what part of our property investment, right? And we will be preparing them, and we'll see you next month. Bye-bye, everybody.